So next on the item, we're going to call the UN Global Compact is the initiative and sustainable development goals by the country director of UN Global Compact Network in Ghana. And his name is Mr. Tolu Kweku Lacroix. Did I say it right? It's Kweku. I thought Nancy, your sister maybe. So I saw Kweku, but I saw Y. So I thought Kweku has breathalyzed to Kweki. Because I have seen Kweku called Kweki before. I have a story to share with you people. I have a story, my own personal story. I had the bank because networks no doso. Me can me drop on thing na ye frɛ me. Yeah, but when you travel abroad, a lot of things can change, and that can change your life. So anyway, let us welcome to the podium Mr. Tolu Kweku Lacroix. Lacroix is the cross. Oh, let's clap for him. He's the UN Global Compact Network representative, the director. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Monsieur Lacroix.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, it's Kweku. I saw it in the program this morning. I realized it was a typo. So I was a bit concerned as to what would happen when I got up here. But I am no stranger to new alterations of my name. Growing up in the US, I was called all kinds of things. My first name, Tolu, I've been called Talut, I've been called Tabu, and as for Lacroix, so many things. But I think this actually showcased how very uniquely mixed I am and truly representative of Africa, Ghana, West Africa, and beyond. So anyway, I want to say a quick thank you to the organizers for inviting me here to be part of this important program. A special thank you to GIMPA as well for hosting this for hosting. Okay, we have that there. Just make sure. Okay, so this works, good. So, I really appreciate everything that has been said here today, especially by the previous speakers. And in fact, before I even go into the depth of my presentation, because my presentation is about the UN Global Compact, I just want to say a few things that I noticed. One, the comment by Professor Douglas Boateng when he said that it used to be that things that affected a nation were determined on the battlefield. And in some places, the halls of diplomacy. And now, the fate of nations is decided in the boardroom. I had the privilege of attending George Mason University, where I did my master's in international commerce and policy. And one of the things we talked about was the emergence of what we called the company state, or the organization states. In other words, what is going to impact governance in the future? Is it going to be primarily governments, or is it going to be private sector? Is the private sector going to become the de facto power in the world? As you know, some companies today are far richer than whole countries. You look at Tesla and other companies, some of them are very, very powerful. When you look at social media, very powerful. The issue with TikTok in the United States had to do with China having access to large swathes of the US population and having the power to influence what people see, what they don't see, what people share, what they don't share, how people interact and socialize online. And that was an issue. So there was conflict there. But so many things have been talked about today about ESG, about the environment, and how we are taking care of that here in Africa and in Ghana. And particularly, Professor Douglas spoke about the responsibility of ourselves in managing our environment. Very, very key. When we talk about Galamsey, it's such a touchy topic. And as he put it, he believes that some people who engage in this practice should be in prison for years. I even read this morning someone saying that it should be like 100 years. And even for traditional authorities, it should be worse, and things like that. But he also said something else. He said that Galamsey is a result of a failure of governance. And that is a crisis that we are dealing with today, is a failure of governance. Now, I'm going to talk about, there's me. I'm going to talk about the UN Global Compact. Okay. I'm going to talk about the UN Global Compact. Now, the UN Global Compact is an initiative by the United Nations to work with business and the private sector to address the issues of our world and make it a better place. So, how did this come about? This came about way back in 2000 when Kofi Annan was addressing business leaders in Davos, a very big international economic forum. And he said to them, we need to put a human face on the marketplace. And then from there, 50 companies responded and said, yes, we'll be part of this. So when we talk about the SDGs and we talk about the UN Global Compact, we're talking about businesses taking the lead in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. But we do it through our 10 principles in the area of human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption. So I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the engagement opportunities within the UN Global Compact. How can we partner together to ensure that these goals are promoted? Then I'm going to talk about the programs and trainings that we do, and this is very key. A lot of times, businesses, they want to do the right thing. They want to be sustainable. They want to take the right actions and policies, and they want to create business models that, in fact, put the planet first. But they don't know how to do that. They don't know where to start. So I will talk a little bit about some of the programs and trainings that we do to help companies in this regard. And then I'll talk about sustainability reporting. Now, this is very, very key. What we realize is that companies need to report on what they are doing to advance sustainability, how they are doing it, how they're measuring it, and how they're taking decisions and actions. As we are in an academic environment, we all know that data and research is very, very important. And the question is then, how do we act upon that as companies? So we'll talk about sustainability reporting, and then the benefits of being in the Global Compact as businesses. And then I'll also speak about society, and I'll also speak about the government. What does that mean for us? What does that mean for Ghana? Now, about the UN Global Compact. So I already gave you a brief introduction about that. The UN Global Compact is made up of thousands of companies who have decided that we are going to put sustainability at the heart of our practices, at our businesses, how we source our materials, everything. I remember Professor Douglas mentioned, when you look at the clothes that you're wearing, do you know where it comes from? Where is it coming from? How is it made? And things like that. Is it coming from a place where the materials are sustainable? Are they sustainably sourced? So those are some of the questions that are raised. So the Global Compact, we believe that these 4 principles, human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption, are the things that every business should have imbibed in their ethos, in their vision, in their strategy. these are the principles that they should be operating by. So if you're mindful about human rights, that means you are agreeing with all international conventions on the treatment of human beings, of people. So when you act with this in mind, there are certain actions that you will not take because that would be to the detriment of human life. So for example, when it comes to business integrity, how do I run my business? Do I run my business with consumers in mind? Right now we have consumer protection bureaus whose job is to make sure that consumers are not taken advantage of, that the products are not harmful to them, and that they are not exploited. Communities are not exploited. That's their job. But we are saying as UN Global Compact, we believe that human rights is at the core of what we do. And that is even the first SDG. Then we also look at labor. We believe that if businesses are taking care of their labor, the principles of labor, one, not having child labor, not having forced labor, slavery in your business model. We believe in making sure that labor has the ability to negotiate for collective bargaining. So we believe in the institutions of labor. And then most importantly, we believe in fair wages. Fair wages meaning that you as a company commit to paying your workers a living wage. A living wage meaning that what I pay to my employees is enough to take care of himself, to feed himself, to clothe himself, and so forth. And that's labor. And then when we come to anti-corruption, you as a business, you pledge to make sure that your finances are clean, that you run your books, you run your company with integrity, that you have appoint leaders and so forth that will guide your company in the right direction. That is at the core of being sustainable according to our principles. So you see, when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, what are the Sustainable Development Goals? The Sustainable Development Goals is the world's blueprint for developing our country, developing the world and making it better. So when you take the 10 principles, you realize that if I take care of my labor, I am solving one, I'm eliminating poverty because I'm paying a living wage to my employers, to my people. Because I'm paying a living wage, they're able to take care of their families. They're able to afford health care. So you begin to see how these principles begin to have direct impact on each of the SDGs. Now the principles came about in 2000. And then we got the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. And actually, before the Sustainable Development Goals, we had the Millennium Development Goals. And so 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals replaced the Millennium Development Goals. And the Sustainable Development Goals, the deadline is in 5 years, 2030. So in 2030, we're going to relook at where we are on the Sustainable Development Goals and what is going to come after that. But we also realize that we are behind. Unfortunately, we've had the pandemic, we've had wars, and a lot of these things have actually impacted the Sustainable Development Goals. So for the UN Global Compact, we are initiating the Forward Faster movement, which is telling us that we want to concentrate on specific areas of the Sustainable Development Goals that we believe will help accelerate and make impact on all the goals and help push things forward. So the work that we do at the Sustainable Development, at the UN Global Compact is to focus on these thematic areas with companies to help push the Sustainable Development Goals. So the first one is human rights, labor and decent work on climate change, anti-corruption, gender equality, SDG integration, and transformational governance. So when we talk about, some of these things I've already mentioned, when we talk about climate change, we know that climate change is happening, which produces several challenges for companies. So the question then becomes, how do we go about addressing climate change? Some of it is man-made. Some of it is long consequences of the rising temperatures globally. And so that affects the realities that we live with today. In Ghana, this year, we've experienced some of the coldest weather to date. I mean, coldest weather, even for me. Me, I like the cold, but it's been really cold. And yet, other places in the world, they're experiencing extreme heat. So what does that mean for our environment, and how do companies adapt? So we have programs and tools to help companies look at this. And then, when we talk about anti-corruption, this is a big one. Anti-corruption, according to the World Bank, it costs Africa alone $1 trillion. $1 trillion of company money that's lost. This is not government money, company money. So as for government, it must be even worse. And of course, we've heard of the different scandals that have happened in the past couple of days of misappropriation and things like that. But when it comes to the cost to business, it is extreme. Meanwhile, when we think about it, that $1 trillion that is lost, that is money that government needs in taxes and other forms to be able to run their programs. Programs that are going to help develop the country and are going to help solve societal problems. So that's an issue. SEG integration. So a lot of businesses do not know how to imbibe SEG into their business. What do they focus on? The 10 principles, that one is for everyone. But which area of the SEGs do I focus on? If I am working in the maritime sector, that one I know, life underwater, SEG 14 is something I should look at. But then what about the other ones? Well, the key ones are definitely still going to be gender equality, labor, and even climate affects the maritime sector. So to that effect, we've launched the Ocean Centers Ghana this year, which looks exclusively at solving problems in the maritime sector. And for us, we started off on the foundation of health and safety, because we believe that when you build a system with safety in mind, safety for workers, safety for operations, then you begin to have a solid foundation for sustainability in the space. Okay, let me move on. Okay, so then what are the engagement opportunities with the Global Compact? Sorry. Okay. So the first thing that we do when we bring companies together is the connection. We bring together experts, thought leaders, to come together to find the solutions to some of these problems. A lot of our events that we put together are designed to bring the best companies, the best academics, the best researchers to come together to work together and solve these problems. And the forums that we have these under are forums like the Africa Business Leaders Coalition, which is composed of the top companies across the African continent. And last year during COP, the companies signed a declaration on climate. There are a lot of things that were discussed at the previous COP, a lot of promises that were made by the Global North. And as we heard from the previous speakers, we are seeing that some of the countries in the Global North are retreating from their ESG commitments, even commitments that were made at COP. Now, what's important to note is that this retreat is not based on anything economic or something that's happened. It's not that, oh, climate change has reversed and so we are reversing course. No, it's mostly political. So that means these problems are not going away. It was also mentioned that when it comes to pollution, when it comes to emissions, Africa is not the highest polluter. However, we are still suffering from our own pollution, from cars and from machinery. but not to the extent because we have not heavily industrialized. But this is an opportunity for the continent to start a green revolution. And I believe that was discussed earlier. And so that's one opportunity. The other thing is that when you're part of the Global Compact, it's an opportunity to learn. We have a very extensive learning academy platform. And this platform is designed to help teach on sustainability topics and break it down so that businesses can understand. And what we also come to realize is that it also helps for the public in general to understand the topical issues around this area. We also partner with a sister organization called Prime. And Prime is about helping universities, business schools, teach in the classrooms about sustainability for young professionals looking to go into the corporate space so that they have a deep understanding of the nature of sustainability, so when they go to work in these companies, they already have the mindset and the knowledge to apply in their different fields they find themselves, how to support the sustainability agenda. Then the other opportunity for companies is the lead factor. For companies that are with the Global Compact for some time, they have an opportunity to lead discussions, advocacy groups, campaigns at different forums. Some of these include during the UN General Assembly Week in New York, at two principal events of the UN Global Compact, the Leaders Summit, and then the Global Africa Business Initiative, which also has the Unstoppable Africa events in New York. Now, these events are designed with Africa in mind. They're designed to help bring investment to Africa, to help bring solutions to Africa, to bring significant stakeholders across the continent and beyond to work to find sustainable solutions and advance the sustainable development goals in Africa, ultimately with the objective of bringing prosperity to the continent. So it's an opportunity to lead in these different international forums. And then lastly, communicate. For us at the Global Compact, communication is extremely important. And why is that? Because people want to see, is sustainability not only important, but how has it been applied? How is a company performing? How is an industry performing? How is an ecosystem performing? So we teach companies how to communicate. So I'm going to touch on the programs and trainings. So our programs and trainings have been organized in the ESG setting. So we have environment, social, governance, and then what we call the enablers. So in the environment space, we have different accelerator programs that take a company from start to finish. So how does your company have an impact on environment? And how can your company avoid making a negative impact on the environment? How can your company be a proper steward of the environment? And how can your company even grow within that space? So we have different topics in the area like climate, nature, biodiversity, the ocean stewardship centers, and then the water mandate. When it comes to social, we talk about human rights, we talk about gender. So we have different accelerators that will help take companies through these areas. And one of the things we do is we provide tools. These tools help company actually measure the real-time impact that their company is making in this space. So for example, we take target gender equality. We have a tool that helps a company actually measure from the policies of the company to the conditions of women working in the company, what their actual situation is when it comes to contributing to gender equality. Then the tool will give you a graph that will show a measurement of your performance and where you are, and then suggestions for how to improve. So that's an example. Then when it comes to governance, we have transformational governance and anti-corruption. Now, let me talk about transformational governance. Transformational governance talks about leadership at the board level. So for a lot of companies, their strategy is put together at the board level. The vision, the mission of the company. Sorry? Hey, okay. And I'd even shortened the presentation. Interesting. So in transformation is taken at the board level, right? So we want to equip boards with the right information to make critical decisions about how do we imbibe sustainability into the culture of the company so that extends to the CEO down and beyond. Okay, let me talk about reporting. So one of the key things about being in the Global Compact is that you have to be reporting on progress. One of the things that we are driving is that for companies who join the Global Compact, we want them to actually make a commitment that we are going to imbibe the 10 principles into our operations. But you have to report on it. And so when you report on it, you're actually showing how you are making progress year by year. So it's not just a question about, oh, we have said it and that's it. No, it's about how you are applying it. So we have a very, very robust reporting framework which aligns with just about all of the standards out there, ISO, GRI, and even the recent EU regulations on sustainability. So when a company is reporting through this framework, it will help you align with all the regulations that you will have to report on. So for example, the stock exchange initiatives, the sustainable banking principles. In fact, all of them have drawn their frameworks from the UN Global Compact's 10 principles. So one of the things that we do is we help them to report on that. And so when we do the reporting, it is all digital, it's all online. And then at the same time, we provide additional support on existing legal frameworks and ESG frameworks, reporting frameworks that are required by your local government. And then when you finish, you're also able to peer benchmark yourself against others in the space. You begin to see how your company is actually faring in that space. Okay, let me move this along. So this is an example of what your profile of the company would look like. So when you publish a report, it's published in the public domain. And the advantage of this is that when people ask you, let's say you're applying for funding or you're vying for investments or you want to partner with the UN, especially if you want to partner with the UN, they'll ask you, are you a member of the Global Compact? And you say, yes, I am. So then they can go online and see your profile and see all the reports and actually see the progress that you have made in adapting your company to the principles. You've been coming to the trainings, you've been attending the events, you've been given the global exposure, you've heard from thought leaders from all over the place. And now we're seeing the reflection of that. You've transformed your board. Your board is on fire on sustainability. And so we can now see the progress that you have made. And this will help increase the visibility of your company. So since I have 1 minute, do I have 1 minute or a couple more seconds? Okay, let me round this up. If you are a company that wants to take the sustainability seriously, we've heard everything about the importance of ESG. We've heard about the negative effects on climate. We've heard about where we want our country to be. We know we need leadership in this space. If you're concerned about people doing criminal acts because they feel they have no hope and that's the only avenue open to them, if you're concerned that even some of the problems that stem from this is from people not being paid fair wages, and you want to be a company that stands out, that says, no, we're going to do things the right way. We're going to pay our people well. We're going to treat them with respect. We're going to make sure that we have gender equality in our company. We're going to make sure that we take care of the environment in which our business operates. And we're going to make sure that the community sees us as a blessing and not as a curse. Then the Global Compact is where you need to be. And when it comes to governments and when it comes to civil society, we want to work together with you. We want to make sure that the goals that you want to achieve in the sustainability space and making Ghana a prosperous and environmentally healthy country becomes a reality. For more information, please, you can find us on our socials, you can find us online. We're available to talk. And let's see how we can come together and make this world a better place. Thank you.